Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Trade the Chain, the largest crypto show that nobody watches. I'm joined here with Trade the Chain's Director of Research, sometimes a clairvoyant almost of sorts, Nick Mancini. Nick, how are you? You look very,
Doing well.
you look very like you have a lot of stuff going on.
I do. You'd be correct. You'd be correct in assuming that. Yes.
We're also joined by the everyday guy, DeRosa, who I am definitely going to direct some questions at today because you're answering every question I present, Doug. And, mainly about, the economy and what's going on. And I'm pretty sure Nick's going to bring up something that happened yesterday evening Eastern time, which shows you how fragile the situation is right now and how easily it can be toppled. So before we get to all that, we're going to go over to the macro side of things. If you saw the Trade the Chain tweet this morning, you saw the hottest on Twitter. Well, we're going to give you the most bullish coins, and they're going to start off with Clay, KLAY is the ticker, a score of 89. We have Uniswap coming in third with a very bullish score of 83. Going over to the most bearish coins, XDC with a real low score of 9. I mean, when these things get below 15, they're really taking a dumpster dive here. KCS, KuCoin shares at 17. BSV at 19. Never cared about that coin. And we still have GLMR, the Moonbeam token, coming in at 27th with a 27 score, fourth on the most bearish coins. I know Doug has been kind of tracking this every so often. It's been popping up a lot on the radar. It's down about 1% in the last 24 hours. So we'll see. If you signed up for a free newsletter, we actually have one that goes out today on Thursdays called Coins on the Move. And we'd featured, I think we'd highlighted GLMR in that newsletter. So link is at the top of the live chat, absolutely free. Take a look at that. We go over the macro coins page screen. We have everything is about par right now, but I will tell you the short-term time frame on the charts within the last hour. They were pumping some real bullish green engulfing candles, but that was after a huge dump earlier this morning, which Nick will go over. So, Nick, without further ado, would you mind imparting your knowledge on us?
Yes, sir. So probably the first good piece of data is Bitcoin's weakness compared to Ethereum on the daily. Ethereum picking up a little bit. Bitcoin still noticeably weak. Trying to attack that that neutral level, get back up in a bullish territory. Oh my gosh, Alexa is the weirdest freaking thing in the world. Oh no, she heard me. Oh God.
Sorry, I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know if that happens to anyone else except me, but she loves to talk when not spoken to. So DXY has been cranking, which has really pushed a lot of things down. If you were watching the daily show yesterday, we said that if things start to break below 108, then we would expect things to, if DXY was breaking below 108, equities and risk would likely get bullish. Clearly, DXY has been on a tear, so that it very much related to the S&P 500 being on a downturn. It's now at resistance, and it bounced at 3,900. Remember yesterday we said if it goes below 3,950, it's probably going to tag 3,900. Well, that's, nearly to a T. It did that. We talked literally 24 hours ago. Now it is, bouncing in a range. It's underneath the VWAP currently, as well as these two POCs. So not looking very good in the short term, but potentially could stage a recovery. Let me actually zoom out to the daily here, so we can see that the S&P 500 is at support. So this trading range right down here, obviously, took us about, it was June all the way into July, so about a month trading right down here. You would expect this to form some sort of support as it tests this level, and it's starting to wick down So if it can't stay above this POC, it's probably going to head back down. But this is where you would expect some sort of relief, some sort of bounce. But on the other hand, RSI is not at the bottom yet. And typically we see a reset whenever we grow overbought, and we will eventually become oversold. So any short-term bounce here, I think, would probably be rejected around 4K, maybe even that 39.50 level that we mentioned before. This candle, this daily candle, is going to act as resistance for sure if we end up staging some sort of recovery. So the reason I'm starting to lean, and we talked about this yesterday, that we may have some sort of rotation up and then down to start September. Well, ETH sentiment is now bullish, and Bitcoin sentiment is trying to get back into bullish territory after getting beaten back after Jerome Powell. So if we look at the Bitcoin chart, what does that analysis equate to in terms of price action? So if we're looking at the daily, we are right at support. So price got close to touching these flat candles right here. So I know many macro traders will typically, a flip will occur here. They test the lows, they park it, they go long, they ruin the short stops, and then they end up bringing it back down. So there's a potential scenario that we may crank higher and head back lower. But the biggest thing that's overhanging is the unemployment rate, which drops tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. So if that is low, if that is, like, I would say at 3.5% or lower, then the market is probably going to take that in a bearish fashion, because basically Jerome Powell and the Fed are going to have to take more action because they want to increase unemployment, not decrease it, to help with the inflation problem. So basically, if unemployment is a beat, then it is going to be bad for the market. Good news is bad news. So, there's two opposing sides to this theory, and that's why we've been trading, that's why we've been focusing on kind of these opens and trading on news-driven events, because it's very tough to predict multi-day action when we're this topsy-turvy and the S&P is looking like this. So I think it's best, you definitely want to continue to trade the range, and we are at the bottom of the range if we look at the hourly. So, basic trading science says probably trade this up maybe to 20K, maybe 20.5 again if it breaks 20K, and then, maybe roll back over for a bit of a turmoil in the month of September. The one thing that I'm watching here on the short term is my little RSI trend. As long as RSI is beneath this trend, I'm only looking for shorts. If it ends up breaking above, then I'll start looking for longs. And I think that's just a really good way to look at it right now. It's topsy-turvy right now. I would say maybe a long looks better than a short from what I can see here, but again, we've still got a lot of macro weakness. Bitcoin on the short-term time frame is having trouble breaking above the VWAP and the POC. So Bitcoin's still looking a bit weak. I'm not looking for longs, but I do recognize the fact that we could see a try to get back above 20K, potentially heading into the Asia session. I think we said nearly the same thing yesterday. And we ended up getting a mini try, and then we had that ship issue. I think Alex, we talked about that yesterday.
Oh yeah.
The Affinity got blocked, and then that kind of sent everything back into a tailspin. It was actually quite funny how things were right at resistance. So what time did we speak yesterday? It was about
6 o'clock.
Yeah, it was right here. So this is when we were live yesterday, and then we ended up tagging this. I'm pretty sure this is right when that news started to break. It was just trying to break above, and then it got shoved right back down. So it's very interesting to see that even when we were trying to time it, the fundamentals in life, continue to support a bear thesis, which Alex and I were joking that someone bought a bunch of SPY puts and called the captain and said blow the engines or something like that. I doubt that's exactly what happened. The issue was fixed rather quickly, but we are in a very weird area where I don't want to long this, but I'd prefer to short any perceived strength, because it does look very weak heading into September.
Yeah, one of the interesting thing about that, I wanted to touch on that for a second, Nick. When I got the call from Nick, I was actually with Ryan having a little bit of a cocktail after work, and when Nick calls, it's usually it means something, and he called to inform that a 840 some odd foot container ship had lodged itself completely perpendicular in the Suez Canal. And if you go back to spring of last year, we had the Evergrande. Well, no, that was a Chinese company. What's last year's tanker's name?
Evergreen.
Evergreen, thank you. Not the Chinese building company, but Evergreen, which was about two times as long, and it got lodged there, and that happened in March, and then that wasn't rectified for many weeks. And what happened, that cut off a critical supply line, and the market just absolutely tanked. So when Nick found the news yesterday, and that this had happened all over again, I mean, they did get the ship floating and navigating again, but I will tell you, alarm bells were going off, because the state of the energy crisis right now in the EU, the state of the macro economy globally, including the siloed crap show that's going on in China, something like that can literally destroy what we have left and send us so far down. And if you noticed yesterday, and Nick was in front of the screens when he was talking to me, was the S&P just gapped right down.
It literally did.
Yeah, so that just goes to show you how fragile a situation we're in. And I'm glad that got rectified. Otherwise, Nick would be in a party outfit with open shorts right now.
It looked like the ship was smaller than the Evergreen, and it was actually allegedly the same place as well. So apparently that's a bit of a risky area in the Suez Canal. Apparently didn't block. I think I read 5 hours. It was also funny. It was apparently blocked for 4 hours before it hit international media, and it was quickly rectified after it hit international media. So that was also interesting, in the sense of the story was not. We didn't get all of the news as it was immediately occurring. So that was also weird. Yeah.
Maybe Pelosi had something to do with it. Maybe she was short in oil. I don't know.
She got out of those NVIDIA trades at the right time.
Yes, they did well on those. Yeah.
I love how everybody in the world was like, why is she selling NVIDIA at a loss? This is very
now
weird.
We know.
What's going on. And then it's like a month later, it's like NVIDIA is, you ain't doing business with China anymore. So.
I know everybody saw the title of this show, and it's not clickbait. It is true about the VGX tokens, and I'm going to get to that. But before I get to that, I want to go over to Doug real quick and talk about what the real world seems like right now, and what continued expectations for people are, whether it's at the pump, at the grocery store, and whatnot. Doug, what's your sentiment down on the street, so to speak?
There was an article that came out last week, guys, that really didn't get a lot of press, and it really should, because for me, it's like the first warning sign, and it's a glaring one. It was a Bloomberg article, and the title was U.S. mortgage lenders are starting to go broke. So it's not necessarily about real estate, my concern. It's about seizing of credit or tightening of credit. So you think of where we're at right now. We're in QT. So we have the Fed no longer being the largest buyer of bonds, right, of mortgage debt, right? So we're taking that liquidity out of the system. Then you've had these pronounced interest rate moves that have been historic, right, at these levels. We have at least one more coming in a couple of weeks, and maybe another one in the fall. So you think about that twofold, right? What does that do to the credit cycle? It naturally tightens credit, but also there's got to be somebody out there that's been on the wrong side of this trade that we don't know about that's in trouble, right? There's not been any major hedge fund fails. You just got to figure that there's something out there that we don't know that's lurking. And so my fear is, I put this in the chat earlier, and I know that Nick feels not necessarily different because he's been a macro bear, but you look at the 10-year, we're literally 20 basis points away from the highest we've been in quite a long time. Oil is starting to break down. I just think that you got to figure that there's something out there that's lurking, not being a fearmonger, but common sense just says when you had these big moves and now you are starting to get mortgage lenders starting to go broke that were shadow banks, right? Those were the ones that were picking up the slack in this channel. And one of them, First Guarantee, was owned by PIMCO, the big mortgage, banking bond company. Like, that's scary. So I think that is foretelling. And as we've discussed before, the last bubble that has not popped really is real estate. So should that go, you're going to see a major destruction in the wealth effect. And Goldman said yesterday, look out for 2023. The housing market really hasn't even started to decline yet. So I'm just saying, folks, just keep an eye on some of these headlines. But that's the first one. When you start to see companies start to fail, to me, it seems a little bit like 2007, where we said, oh, that's never going to happen again. Shocker. It could somewhat resemble 2007 again in a smaller way, but it can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Doug brings up a good point. He brought those two originators to my attention a couple of days ago, and the first one, mortgage originator, non-bank mortgage originator, to actually fold and go bankrupt happened about 35 days ago in the state of Texas. So that's never really a good sign, particularly when it has to do with, their business is making loans and they can't. So why keep the doors open? Now, Doug, when it comes to what's happening in the EU, and there's plenty of scared people, and we have members, trade chain members that live in the EU that put it in the Discord and talk about it on the side. But this energy crisis that's going on over there, how do you think, or do you think it will trickle past the borders of the European Union?
Well, we're starting to see a global demand destruction, right? As prices go up so much, there's just a lack of demand. So people are driving less. We're obviously now heading into winter, where it's not the summer driving season for here overseas. Nick can speak to this as well. The strong dollar has to be hurting, us over here in the States, because our products are less attractive overseas, right? So we are starting to see a lot of cross currents out there. But you're right. I think that, the war in Ukraine, it's hard to figure out really where that's going. That narrative kind of switches each month, that Russia's winning and that Ukraine's winning. But certainly the markets are the ultimate thing that tell you where we're heading. And natural gas has been going through the roof. I think that's foreboding. That tells us that things in Europe, certainly a recession there is going to be hard and sustained. And again, if Nick wants to chime in on the strong dollar, but again, that does have some negative to it. It's not all great when you have a strong dollar. So.
Well, a strong dollar just it devalues risk assets. So you can buy less Bitcoin with a stronger dollar, and that's the easy kind of one-to-one of why strong dollar equals lower risk. So we've said this before, and I actually talked about this on the Daily Show, so I'm not going to go over it today. I would encourage you to go watch probably midway through the Daily Show today. Well, we talked about where DXY is likely headed over the next couple of months if it firmly breaks the 109 levels. So,
all right, cool. I am getting to the VGX news, guys. Hold on, just one more little break here. Going into the chats real quick. Crypto Man asked, should we be worried about the MountGox distribution mid-September? I'm not worried about it. I'd love to get your guys' take. I'm not worried about it. We're talking about a size of Bitcoin that is eaten by the order books on a daily basis as far as volume is concerned. I think it is complete FUD. If everybody who gets distributed the amount of MountGox Bitcoin that they've listed sold it at the same exact time, the market would just absorb it. I don't see any reason for any of this FUD. And if somebody would like to disagree with me, I'd love to hear.
Well, I agree with you that the market could absorb it. I'm not saying the market will absorb it, because if someone is, let's say, TWAPing a massive sell, someone's going to be aware of that, and then they're going to pull bids, and then it's just going to tank price, and then that intelligent market maker would pick up the pieces. So I agree with you in the sense that, as it stands, if it were to just pop into the market today, it would be fine. But everybody's aware of it. We're all going to know when it's happening, and we're going to see the on-chain movements to, unless someone OTC sells, but I guarantee you someone's going to try something in the open market. Someone's going to see something, and we'll see a lot of volatility around that. I'm not going to say it won't cause a blip. it'll definitely cause some volatility, but I don't think that's going to be the reason why we have a bad September, if that makes sense.
And for those that don't know, September is historically the worst performing month.
5 red months in 5 years.
Yep, 5 red months in 5 years. That actually makes it an indicator of sorts. Now, one thing on the MountGox thing. Imagine, you know, I know a lot of people use this in Twitter. They've made this reference, but imagine going into a coma in 2014 with all your Bitcoin that you bought for like $65, $100, and then waking up today and getting it all back. I mean, how amazing is that? It's like
that would be crazy. I mean, the unfortunate thing is I think a lot of people ended up selling that to creditors though and stuff. Like there's probably very few people that are getting credited back that took the, I mean, how many years is it? 8 years?
It's a huge amount of time.
It's literally, I mean, that's 3 cycles, 4
and
cycles.
There were offers, as Nick is alluding to, there were offers from creditors that were buying Bitcoin on the cheap from these people so that they could have some, liquidity. Sleepy Puppy Crypto, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for the belated birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. And now real quickly before VGX, I want to say there's one. I say this every episode. Don't forget to go to the pinned live chat and that I put up there. That's our free actionable newsletter. Monday is the deep dive one. You get the daily, and Thursday is the coins on the move one. So there's a coins on the move going out today. So sign up now and you'll get today's coins on the move absolutely free. No commitment. And then speaking of free, we also changed with our payment processor on TradeTheChain.com how we handle new business. So it used to be a 14-day. I'm alluding to it. I know there's a whole marketing campaign around this, but I'm just going to drop it here. We were alluding, or how we've had it in the past for the last few years, is 14 days risk-free. You get no questions asked, money back guarantee. Now you don't have to ask for a refund. We made it so you want to sign up for Trade the Chain, see what it's like. It's 14 days free. So you just go in, sign up. It's 14 days free. You're not paying any money. So that's the first that we're letting anybody know that. Check it out. Get dip into the community, which is awesome, and hear a lot of analysis that you don't get on the public facing side. Okay, so let's go to VGX. And so here's Voyager as it stands right now. This is the weekly 7-day daily sentiment versus price. You can see the sentiment of Voyager token in green for positive, in red for negative, and the blue line the price. I've been thinking about this trade with a couple different people for the last 3 weeks now, and as any of you people who are creditors to Voyager have crypto and locked up in the account, I'm sure you try to get as much news as you can from the folks in crypto Twitter who report back on things like the UCC phone call that happened the other day, as well as the updates coming out of Voyager's Twitter and blog account in real time. I'm one of those people. Have a lot of Voyager token locked up on the platform. But what happened a couple of weeks ago, after going through how this process has become, one, very orderly and expeditious, which is a positive sign. Steve Rolick, whether you like him or not, he's been leading this through the process in a very expeditious manner. Everybody who had USD got their coins back extremely quickly from what I'm considering from a bankruptcy process. But we have these the qualified bidders that are going to be chosen on Tuesday the 6th. As everybody remembers, this was postponed a week. It was supposed to happen last week. I don't really care that it didn't. That didn't worry me that it got moved. I mean, it's Labor Day. It's Labor Day week. This is the most vacation taken week of all of the year. So probably people wanted to be back behind their desk for the actual thing. So here's how the play goes. We have qualified bidders coming out on Tuesday. We have a lot of people that are hoping Voyager VGX price and value starts to increase because of the VLP, and if somebody uses it post-mortem in what is the new facade-looking company of Voyager. And remember, just a year ago, we were all excited about the VLP program coming out. It's going to be the first 1-year anniversary. And if any of you have moved on to other apps, I dusted off a 2016 Coinbase app, and I absolutely can't stand the UI. It is the worst thing in the world. I do miss Voyager's interface so much. So here we have qualified bidders. It was leaked last week that CZ from Binance has become one of those bidders, along with FTX. But FTX had been known for a while. I kind of figured that was baked in. But we have Binance, so we have another name. And it makes sense because Binance US and FTX US are really downtrodden basic exchanges that if anybody knows the world of crypto, everybody tell you that Binance US and FTX US, because of regulation, are really BS exchanges. They're not like their parents offshore, which are the most robust exchanges. So they're looking for some value, infrastructure value and customer value here in the US to build those on, and it makes sense. Now, there are probably going to be operators that are qualified bidders as well, meaning people that are non-crypto native that want to make an entrance in crypto. And in order to do that, what are they getting? Wow, they're getting this really beautiful infrastructure, brokerage, turnkey, more or less. And they get to launchpad into the crypto space. Maybe they're a traditional bank. You don't know. Rumors are there's a couple that are in the bids. If that's the case, they need a token. They need to keep that VLP. That's what keeps the customers happy. And we're not talking about ridiculous APRs and all that anymore. That's all yesterday. But there was something really great about being rewarded or incentivized as you made your journey through crypto on the Voyager platform. All right, so where's this all going? I believe, and I follow my own tool here, that sentiment going into Tuesday the 6th is going to rise. It's going to, yes, Gars, 30% of customers own VGX, 300,000 of them. Sentiment is going to rise going into the qualified bidder selection because people want value to go on past this into whatever the next version of Voyager is, and whoever owns it and whoever's running it, because it was a key to the ecosystem. So let's dump all the emotion out for a second. My trade is I am going to achieve positive price action going into the bidder selection on Tuesday. This is my prediction. I will then sell into the bidder selection. I will look for a consolidation post bidder selection. And at that point, I will ascertain if there's an alpha generating event going into the final winning selection. Okay. Putting it all out here for everybody. And I have bet 130,000 VGX tokens on this play. Okay. We'll see what happens. But that's my trade. I'm sticking to it. Doug, you want to cut me down so bad, don't you?
I'm not commenting on anything. I wish you the best of luck. That's what we do here. We try to beat the markets and we try to win. So.
If any, I want to see if anybody is still listening to this. Put in the live chat. Tell me if you agree or disagree or are neutral about this. I like this bet. There was once a day where we were all passionate about it, except for Nick. Nick's never been passionate about it, but that's okay. We love him anyway. But there was a day we were all passionate about it. So I'm buying. I've already bought. So 130,000 VGX tokens, and we'll see where this puppy goes. And if come Wednesday I have lost money, I will tell you that I've lost money. And if it goes to $100, like Ogre Revenge says, there won't be a YouTube show next week. Oh my God. All right, guys, that's it. I bought a crap load of VGX tokens, and we're going to see if I'm going to pay for it or if I'm going to be rewarded. So until next time, don't forget, if you're not a member of Trade the Chain, you want to check it out. It's absolutely free now for 14 days. There's no commitment. Just go in there, check it out, pop in the community, say hi, whatever. If it's not for you, you're gone, no obligation. If it is for you, you can join the family. Pinned to the top is the sign up for our newsletter, and which will probably have a declaration that says anything Alex says on YouTube we don't agree with, but that's okay. It's actionable. Mondays are deep dives. Thursday are coin on the move. So there's one going out today. Follow Nick every day for the midday show. It's the most informative 15 minutes you'll get in your life, and it doesn't have the bad jokes from Doug and me. I will update everybody on the VGX trade after the bidder selection happens next Tuesday, and we'll go from there, see what happens. So that's it, folks. Thank you. Hang on to your handlebars and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wait. Don't forget about, we got Twitter Spaces tonight. We got Twitter Spaces.
2 hours.
In 2 hours, we got Twitter Spaces at 4:30. Vasic goes $7 at 4:30, and it's actually a special one. We tweeted it out, but it's on the Bitcoin anniversary day of El Salvador making it legal tender currency, and we have on some of the people from the event that celebrates it. There's this event has like miners and a whole bunch of other Bitcoin people. So tune into that. I'll be on there with Doug and Nick, 4:30 Eastern time today, trading spaces with Trade the Chain. Go to the Twitter account for the link. Thanks, folks.